Okay, so obviously this is not an easy video to make, but I pray that through this somebody will receive their healing and that somehow someone will have a closer relationship with God because they've seen this and they realize that they are not alone. So I struggled with masturbation for a few years because I allowed somebody in my life who was, I can say was addicted to porn. So because he was watching it, he exposed me to it. And so he exposed me to doing certain things, and I did it because I wanted to please him and I loved him and I wanted him to accept me, and I thought by doing all of these things he would love me and choose me and want me, so I did this with all this false expectation of what I thought love was. And then, so years after, I was even in ministry and I was still struggling with this, and we weren't even together anymore, but I was still struggling with this thing. And I used to pray and I used to cry, and tell God, like, why don't you just heal me from this thing, because I felt like a hypocrite many times. And then once God revealed to me, it was last year, God revealed to me that because at the time I wasn't sure where this was coming from, why am I struggling with this, and so then only he revealed to me it was because I allowed this person into my life. And so we need to realize that even with sex, it's not just a physical exchange, it's mental and emotional, because we are body, soul and spirit beings. So even long after that person is no longer in your life, things, their spirit and their things that they were struggling with can still stay with you if you don't get healing from those things, and that was what happened with me. So this man, he was out of my life for years already, and I was still struggling with this thing and I didn't understand it. And then it was like God revealing to me it was because I allowed this man into my life, and that was his struggle. So then it stayed with me, and so I could, because then I identified it, and then I could pray for myself, and I believe that God delivered me. But did it just stop overnight? No. God then took me through a process where God had to teach me to train my body, to retrain my body. So for a period of like months, I had to be so sensitive and mindful of things that I was listening to, like example songs. If there were any sexual connotation to a song, I had to stop listening to it, or even programs that I would watch on television or movies or things. As soon as I'd see people kissing and stuff, I had to change the channel, so I had to he was taking me through a process of showing me steps of how now to retrain my body, and how to avoid those things until you get stronger, until your spirit gets stronger to fight against it. So for all of us, because we're different people and because our experiences are different, for each person it will maybe be a little bit of a different healing process, but healing is possible. And just because maybe you prayed for something, and maybe this is not the thing that you were struggling with, but maybe there's something else that you're struggling with, and you've prayed and you've asked God to heal you, and He didn't just heal you overnight, and now you're questioning the healing power of God. But I just want to tell you today that just because God didn't heal you immediately, there's stories in the Bible where people prayed, but it wasn't an immediate healing. It was a process. And just because it's a process doesn't mean that He's not a healing Father. And it doesn't mean that He doesn't want to heal you. Because sometimes certain things that happen in our lives, we can just pull it out almost like a tree. It can just be pulled out quickly. But some things, because it's been a process and you've gone through this thing for so many years, it needs to be uprooted like a tree. So this was kind of a moment in my life that God really had to uproot this thing from me, and today I believe I can speak about it, and I'm hoping that someone will get their healing through it, because I've gone through the process of healing. And so I want to encourage you that if you're struggling with something, you know what, God is a healing and faithful God. He can heal you and He can restore you, and He wants to do that for you. But the first thing that we have to do is we have to become vulnerable and open with God, and we have to bring our shame before Him, the things that we really feel shameful about. We have to bring those things before Him. We have to open it up, because and I love to say that it's not as if He doesn't know. Of course He knows. He's God. He knows everything. But when we speak to Him about it, it's like we're opening up the door for Him to speak to us about that specific issue, so that He can bring healing, and He can restore us in those areas of our lives. Because Satan lives in the darkness. When we keep things in the dark, when we don't speak about it, when we hide it, that's where Satan lives. But the moment when we bring it out into the open and say, hey, I need help, hey, can you help me with this thing? Or you speak to somebody that you can trust about it, so that you can get healing, and you speak to God about it firstly. And I fully believe that the moment that we bring it before the Lord, telling Him the things that we are facing, the things that we are going through, He will take you through your healing process. He will either bring people into your life that will help you to overcome, or He will lead you Himself to your healing process. But healing is available for each and every person. And so why is it wrong? Why is masturbation wrong? It's wrong because you are pleasing your flesh. You are the moment when you are doing something to please your flesh, where your spirit no longer is able, where you yourself is no longer able to stop your flesh from doing something, there's a problem. That is an indication to each one of us that there's a problem there. If we cannot stop ourselves, we cannot stop our flesh from doing something. And you know what? Many times people would say, like, they would think that they are in control of their lives and of themselves by giving into certain things. I'm in control of my life, I want to do this thing. But when you really stop and you want to, you stop a moment to think about it. If you want to stop your flesh from doing that thing, but you cannot, that is a problem. That is a problem. And there's healing for that, because our spirits is supposed to be stronger than our flesh. We are not supposed to be moved and be pulled by our fleshly desires. And so today, I just pray that through my story, that somebody will receive their healing and their breakthrough, so that they can overcome the things that they are fighting with in their flesh. Because God wants to bring us to a place of healing. Why? Because